The real problem when it comes to life itself is consent. Are the players in this game playing this game because they asked to play this game or they agreed to play this game? That's a real problem. That's a real problem. Because when it comes to everything else, consent is important, and as conscious beings, we know that. The real problem isn't whether life is good or bad. Of course, there are people who think that life is good. No one is really disagreeing. Like, even though I make videos talking about, hey, this is a hell realm, like, if you think that life is good, then life is good, because it really has a lot to do with your own subjective experience. At the end of the day, you mustn't look at Benedictine and be like, I think Benedictine is very intelligent, so he's right when he say that we are in a hell realm. Like, it's really up to you, really, what you really think. It's not up to another person. You are having your own subjective experience. You don't even know what this is. You could be the only conscious being in the universe, and you might find that no one is actually suffering, right? You just think that there are other people who are actually suffering because you think that other people actually exist. So really, you must take your subjective experience seriously. So I'm not really making videos to convince people that we are in a hell realm. I'm making videos to make people who already think that we're in a hell realm understand that there's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with how they think. So if you think life is good, life is good. If you think life is bad, life is bad. When I make videos about anti-natalism, that's not what, like, I'm not arguing that life is actually like life is good or life is bad. Like, that's, anti-natalism doesn't really have much to do with that, really. I watched like debate between Sam Harris and David Bennett. I realized they were focusing on the wrong things. Whether life is good or bad, life is full of suffering. The real problem is consent. That's the real problem. If two adults decide that they want to have sex, there's nothing wrong with that. They can have sex. They can all have all the sex that they want to have, right? But if one of them does not consent, there's something wrong with that. If my sex game is insane, now as men, we like to think that our sex game is insane. If my sex game is insane, it doesn't mean that I must force myself on someone because my sex game is insane. And that's just because me, those that have slept with think that my sex game is insane doesn't mean that other women, should be forced to have sex with me, or should be put in a situation where they have sex with me without their consent because my sex game is insane. No. Consent is important. Just because some people love drinking, in South Africa, like, people drink a lot. They love going to taverns. They love going to parties. They love going to clubs. This is Mzansi. This is like this is one of the most fun countries that you can live in. No, people drink a lot in this country. If you think drinking is okay and you actually enjoy drinking, that doesn't mean that you must force other people to drink. That doesn't mean that you must give someone alcohol without telling them that it's alcohol. Be like, hey, yeah, here's what I'm drinking. Yeah, you can drink it too. It's water. Or you don't even tell them anything. They didn't agree that they want to drink alcohol. Just because you think alcohol is good doesn't mean that they will think that the alcohol is good. That's the real problem. The real problem is consent. Just because you think that life is good doesn't mean that every conscious being that will be brought into this world without their consent is going to think that life is good. And we mustn't be so damn delusional that we convince ourselves that there is something wrong with those who don't think that this is good. You know? I've been telling you that society is very cult-like. You know, in a cult, you don't think independently. You don't think your own thoughts. You're not allowed to think your own thoughts, to have your own perspective about things. You know, if the cult leaders say, it is good that you pierce your ears, that's good. You can't question that. Women shouldn't wake up until 1 p.m. Oh, they should wake up at 3 a.m. You know, that's what cult leaders would say. They should wake up at 3 a.m. and work. No one's supposed to question that. They say that it is okay to treat some people like slaves. No one is supposed to question that. They are punished for questioning that. They're made to think that there's something wrong with them for questioning. So even here, we are being made to feel guilty for thinking that there's something wrong with the world. Like, hey, just find a hobby. Just find a hobby, you'll be fine. You need help. You know, you need to go and see someone. You know, you'll be fine. I used to think like you until I met this person and they've helped me. We must allow all perspectives to exist, right? We cannot force people to have the same perspective, because that's what we're trying to do. When we say everyone must feel like this is a good experience, if they don't feel like this is a good experience, it means they have a mental illness. We're forcing everyone to have the same perspective. Not everyone can have the same perspective. Not everyone can feel the same way. Like it doesn't work that way. But those who are controlling the world want everyone to feel the same way. Have you realized that? You can't have some conversations on mainstream media, for example. Like, that's not allowed. You can't. I don't even watch the news anymore. Like, when I'm watching the news, I'm like, what are they making this for? For kids? For who? Like, you, at least independent media platforms, you know, they do a better job of like telling you what's really, really going on. They have their own perspective, at least, because that really matters. You know, interpretation matter. People being told exactly what they need to say, that's dumb when you think about it. Like, everything mainstream is garbage. Like, if you want the truth, you need to go deeper. So, anti-natalism doesn't have a lot to do with whether life is good or bad. Gnosticism has a lot to do with that. Right? Gnosticism focuses more on the suffering. that conscious beings have to endure in this world. Gnostic will tell you that this world was created by a very evil entity that wanted to trap souls here. And that's why there's so much suffering. But anti-natalism isn't really about that. Even though an anti-natalist will say, hey, there's so much suffering in the world, but the real problem is consent. Can I get consent from someone before I bring them here? That's the real problem. Because in any situation that actually involves responsibility, we have agreed as a collective that consent is important. But we have agreed as a collective that consent is important. But when it comes to existence itself, not only do we think that creating people without their consent is okay, we think that forcing people to continue their existence is okay. That's why the world is against euthanasia, for example. People will be demonized for, feeling like they wanna at least have power over their own death. Like they wanna know when that's gonna happen without waiting for it to happen, because they know that it's gonna happen anyway. And they know, like people who are sick already know that it's gonna happen sooner than later. So, like people who are really, really sick, find that a person knows that, hey man, I'm gonna be gone in 5 months. So at least I wanna be able to choose when I go out, without having to like suffer on my last days. For what? Why do I gotta suffer on my last days? Why don't I just, like choose when, the suffering ends and have a great ending? Because if I prolong this, then the ending is gonna be bad. Like I'm gonna start to rot and be miserable until it's all over. I don't wanna go out traumatized, I wanna go out in front of my friends and family. I want them to sing me some songs, sing me some of my favorite songs. I want them to tell me what their favorite stories that involves me. Like what experiences that they've had with me that they actually enjoyed. What did they like about me? All of that's gonna be a good send off. Like I'll be at peace when I go out. I don't want to go out traumatized, in pain and all that. What if that it's gonna affect where I'm gonna end up? Ever went to sleep while you are like depressed and you started having some messed up dreams? Or why you scared? Or like if you watch a horror movie, you're scared, you might end up dreaming about that movie, or end up dreaming about something that scares you because you are in a frequency of fear. So that's the experiences that you're attracting in your dreams. So maybe if you go out happy, you're gonna find yourself in a happy place. Who knows? But it should be up to you as a person. No one should be forcing. Like if we are going to be totally honest with ourselves, because people are delusional, and it makes no sense that we give people who are delusional so much power. Like we're against rationality. We're against thinking independently. We're against truth. consent is important. There is a reason why if you go to a hospital and you are sick and they diagnose you and tell you that, hey, you gotta take this medication, you can say no, right? I don't want to take medication, I'm good. If they say, hey, stop drinking, you can say, no, I ain't stopping drinking. I'm gonna drink until this is all over. If they say, you gotta start eating fruits, you can say, I don't care. I'm gonna eat what I eat. It's all good. Consent is important. Your life is yours. You're the one. You're the one who kind of like owns your life, really, if we want to think as rationally as possible. But of course, those who are more powerful than you won't view things that way, because they are powerful. But like, why should you own your life? But consent is important. You don't want to be put in a place where you didn't ask to be put into and be forced to fight battles that you didn't ask to fight. And if you lose these battles, people, complain or mistreat you. You're failing at school. Why are you failing at school? You're not serious. You're not serious. I'm going to stop doing things for you. Like, I ain't asked to be brought here and face these battles. You know what I mean? Who say that I must love school? What if I don't love school? What if I love something different? Should I now be forced to love school just because you brought me here into a place where people are forced to, go to school? The way we impose life on people is wrong on so many levels, and that has always been the real problem. The real problem is in that this is a negative experience. Some people are built in a way that makes this fun for them. Not everyone is going to feel like this is fun. Some people are built in a way that makes them feel like drinking is fun. Some people are built in a way that makes them think that being an MMA fighter is fine. Being a boxer is fine. But that doesn't mean that everyone should think that being an MMA fighter is fine. Being a boxer is fine. Some people are built in a way that makes them feel like believing in Jehovah is fine. But that doesn't mean that we should all be forced to believe in Jehovah. If I don't believe in Jehovah, I don't believe in Jehovah. If I think Jehovah is evil, I think Jehovah is evil. I shouldn't be forced to think that Jehovah is good just because some people are built in a way that makes them feel like Jehovah is good. I shouldn't be forced to love Jesus because some people are built in a way that makes it easy for them to love Jesus. We're different. But when it comes to life, we must also understand that not every conscious being is going to be like, oh, this is great. This is great. People think differently. Some people love freedom. Some people enjoy freedom. And they might feel like they're not really free here. They might not like being controlled. Like they were born in a world that wasn't like created for people who think like them, and they found the world the way that it is. There isn't much they can do to change things. Like the rules were created before they came here, so they have to follow these rules. So to understand anti-natalism, you must understand the importance of consent. Unless you convince yourself that consent doesn't matter if you are very, very powerful. Like, it has to do with how powerful you are. So if you are more powerful than your semen, then yeah, you can release it to an egg and conceive and bring a child into this realm. If you are more powerful than an animal, you can unalive it and eat its meat, right? That will also mean that those who are more powerful than you in this, because there are people who are that powerful, man. There are people who are that powerful, people who truly run the show. Life gave them the upper hand. It will mean that there's nothing wrong with them, mistreating us. There's nothing wrong with them doing what they want to do with us. There's nothing wrong with them giving us food and that has some chemicals that make us dumb, There's nothing wrong. That's what it would mean. The same way that there's nothing wrong, according to most people, with giving animals food that might make them a bit dumber, or injecting them with substances that make them dumb, or removing, like I remember I watched this video where this alligators, they didn't have teeth, like they removed their teeth. If you feel like that is okay, how can you think that it was wrong? Like what happened in 2020 was wrong. Let's say, I'm not saying this is what happens, but let's say they did put something inside our bodies. Why would that be wrong? They're more powerful than we are. We do the same to those that are less powerful than we are, so why would that be wrong? But if you understand the value of freedom, of course you think that is messed up. That's why I've made a video where I said the real problem is that life itself is wrong. We are trying to solve problems that stem from the fact that life itself is wrong. And this problem will continue to exist. We live in a world where everything feeds off energy from other living beings. Even if you are a vegetarian or a vegan, you cannot say for sure that trees ain't alive. They do grow. If you give them water, they really do grow. They can also reproduce. So we need to think as honestly as possible. Everything feeds off energy, and everything needs energy from conscious beings. I mean, living beings. Let me put it that way. I'm not even say conscious. I'm say living beings. But yeah, that is wrong. Right? That's the game here. The game of life is exactly like Hunger Games, being put in a place where you have to unalive one another to survive. That's it. Because that's exactly what we're doing, right? We unalive other living beings to survive. Like, there's no difference. It's just that we're used to this kind of messed up. So we're like, this is cool, because we're used to it. You can get used to anything, by the way. I've been telling y'all that human beings are programmable. You can get used to it. Like, there's nothing that you will never be able to get used to. If we live in a world where we had to unalive other humans to survive, you would get used to that, and you would not even be questioning that. Like, that would seem right to you. You'd even justify that. You'd be like, it's my God-given right to, unalive other people. That's how the world works. It's the cycle of life. Find ways to justify that. You can get used to anything, unless you're like a true philosopher. You question everything. You'd be like, nah, that's just messed. That's a messed up game. Like, you'll be honest with yourself. You think as honestly as possible. say, yeah, this is exactly like Hunger Games. We might be on top as humanity, but we might think we're on top because we don't know what we're living with here, man. And when you look at the technological level that this world is operating on, it's very logical to think you're not living with like humans who are like you. You're very limited. What chihuahuas can do, every chihuahua can do. What a pit bull can do, every pit bull. Like, yeah, you might find that, okay, there are pit bulls that are faster than other pit bulls, but that doesn't mean that they ain't fast. Like, what a bat can do, every bat can, but then there are things that, some humans can do that some humans, even if they had to be here for billions of years, they'll never be able to do. They'll never be able to do. They'll never be able to create artificial intelligence. They'll never be able to create the internet. They'll never be able to create cell phone. They'll never be able to create speakers. They'll never be able to create light. Unless they're going to be using fire. Every human can do that. But that should make you suspicious. I laugh a lot when people say, look at what we've achieved. Look at what we can do now. Right? Can you do these things that these people that you are proud of can do? Like, yeah, we're smarter than animals because, we can create cell phones. Can you create a cell phone? Nope. I find that some animals are much smarter than you are. You're privileged because you're called a human. You got rights because you call it. Like, if you didn't have rights, you probably wouldn't survive. So they're not surviving because they don't have rights, but you do. It's like being born in royalty, right? You're already privileged. You're going to be treated well, not because you are better than other people, but you're born in royalty, so you're privileged in that way. Or being born in a respected family, you'll be treated well because you were born in a respected family. There could be some people who are much better than you are, but because they were not born in respected families, then they're not going to be treated well. You see? So just because you have what they call rights as a human doesn't really mean that you're better than other animals. You'd be better than other animals if you could do what they cannot do. But everything that you can do, they can do. Some of these animals can do these things better. Some of these animals are much stronger than you. Some of these animals, they can remember things that you couldn't be able to remember. Some of these things can see far. Some of these beings, some of these animals, they can fly. They move very fast. Some of these animals can memorize numbers. I remember I saw this experiment where they put a monkey and a human and put random numbers like on a screen, and you had to remember where these numbers were. And the monkey was able to beat a human 10 out of 10 times. So we're delusional to think that we're better than animals, and to even think that we're on top. Well, we can see that they seem to be these beings that can do things that we cannot do in a million years. And we're gonna do even if we had to be here for forever. The real problem is that the way life has been set up is wrong. The hierarchies. We're not supposed to respect lower life form. We're supposed to feed off lower life form. That's the issue. Like, it's a game of power. Game of Thrones, huh? It's really a game of power. If you're more powerful than some people, you're gonna be able to control them, right? You're gonna be able to tell them what to do. That's just what the game of life is about. Power. You're more powerful than animals, you get energy from them. More powerful than some humans, you tell them what to do. You make them work shitty jobs, because you're more powerful than them. That is wrong. When you think deeply about it, like, the game itself is wrong. That is why in movies like Hunger Games, like, people can, like, you can, when you're watching the kind of movie, you can see that is wrong. Like, every movie that you've watched where people were, kidnapped and put in a place where they have to unalive one another, so you know that is wrong. As a human, as a conscious human, you know that is wrong. You know that you wouldn't want to be put in that kind of a situation. So you know that is wrong. But when it comes to life, we turn a blind eye. Like, it's how God wanted things to be. The Most High wanted things to be this. Like, how do we know that the Most High is good? How do we know that the Most High has our best interests at heart? What if He's imprisoned us? What if the Gnostics are right? That there's an entity that imprisons our souls, and that is why things are the way that they are. And when you think deeply about what's going on, that truly makes sense. Like, that makes more sense than believing that we were put here by this being that wants us to, enjoy, or that wants us to grow. Like, that's completely illogical. When you look at the major religions in the world, they can't even make what they believe created this look good. The Christians can't make God look good. The Muslims can't make their God look good. Can't make Allah look good. Like, if they're gonna be truly honest with them, so they can't. They just make Him seem powerful, that's all. Like, Christians make God seem powerful. They don't make Him seem good, because they can't. They can say He's good. They can say He has our best interests at heart. But when it comes to making Him look good, they can't. They can't make Him look good. But they can make Him look powerful. So so there needs to be intellectual honesty when we are dealing with these matters. You can see that anti-natalism is true on every level. But if you're going to ignore that, like, anti-natalism is not true, you are basically saying that consent isn't important, and it's okay for anything that can happen to you that's caused by someone to happen. Like, that's basically what you're saying, that it's about power. So if I'm powerful enough to impose my will on someone, that's good. If I'm powerful enough to make people do what they want, even if they don't want to do these things, that's good. You're basically saying slavery was okay. Like, that's basically what you're saying. There were people who were justifying slavery. I want you to understand that. It's not like that everyone was against slavery. Some people believe that it was their God-given right to own other people. There was a way that they were justifying slavery. And that made sense to them at their level of awareness. There needs to be intellectual honesty, bro. We'd realize that, we're truly in a messed up realm. I do not believe that this life is all there is. I do believe that there are higher realms where things actually make sense. And I think this is one of the lowest realms that we could find ourselves in. Does it get worse than this? Probably. And I think for people to not find themselves in realms that are much worse than this, they need to think more rational. They have to have a desire to wake up. I actually do think, and you're probably going to disagree with me on this, but I actually do think that it does matter what you believe. Let's say you believe that it is okay to steal from other people, right? It's okay to rob other people. It's okay to unalive other people. It means you are vibrating so low that you actually deserve to be in much lower realms where that is okay. So I think some people who feel that way will find themselves in those kind of realms, because at their level of consciousness, that's what makes sense. That's kind of like where they actually belong. The same way that we put people who still in prison. It's kind of like the same way that the universe or consciousness kind of categorize people, or conscious beings. I'm not even say people. Oh, you come back as an animal, because at your level of consciousness, you think like these animals that unalive one another to survive. So you belong in their bodies, I guess. But if you feel like something is wrong, you feel like you don't belong here, you feel like there has to be higher realms where things actually make sense, then you do deserve to be in those kind of realms. Because that means that you're conscious enough to be able to handle yourself in those kind of realms. You're conscious enough to be responsible in those kind of realms. You belong in realms where people don't steal from each other. You belong in the realms where people are not aliving one another. You belong in the realms where consent is important. I belong in a realm where consent is important. I don't like forcing people to do things that they don't want to do just to make me happy, To me, consent is everything. And when it comes to everything that I do with other people, I do ask for their consent. Hey, would you like to do this with me? Would you like to do that with me? Because I understand the importance of consent. It sucks to be forced to do something that you don't want to do. That's what makes the experience horrible. I mean, if you decide to do something that you actually want to do, you have decided that, hey, this is what I want to do. You'd feel good about doing it because that's what you want, right? Even if it's not easy, because that's what you really want, it'll feel good. But if you are being forced, right? If people are forcing you to do what you do not want to do, here's the thing. Even if what you're being forced to do is something that you would enjoy, you might not really enjoy it. because it's what you're being forced to do. So even if it's something that you're supposed to enjoy, you might not really enjoy it because you're being forced to do it. That's why consent is really important. Some people think that anti-natalism is just another agenda by the elites to stop people from procreating. They feel like the earth is becoming overpopulated, so they want to reduce the number of people who are here on earth. That might make sense if you don't really think deeply about it. If you don't realize that we are much easier to control when we are many. We are much easier to abuse when we are many. We are much easier to enslave when we are many. They don't want the number of people to drop. It will be much harder to control. Remember, when there isn't that many people, there's gonna be like enough opportunities for people to do what they actually want to do, right? They won't be fighting for resources because there will be plenty of resources. And it's not easy to control a person who has what they want. You see, the best way to control us is to make it harder for us to get what we want. It's to make it harder for us to get money. It's to make it harder for us to get the jobs that we need. Because human beings do want to work, but they just don't want to work shitty jobs. It's not like human beings are lazy. And you mustn't live your life to oppose the elite. You know? I think this is one of the biggest mistakes that people who are conscious are making. If the elite say, stop drinking water, people will drink water, like a lot of water. If the elite say, start drinking water, you need to drink more water, people will be like, oh, why are they saying we should drink more water? Then we gotta stop drinking water. Like, they are living their lives to oppose the elite. They might end up using reverse psychology on us. But like, okay, in order to get them to do what we want them to do, we must tell them to do what we do not want them to do. And they will end up doing what we want them to do. If we want them to get pew, we must tell them not to get pew. And then they will get pew. You know what I mean? Even if the elites wanted to reduce the number of people here on earth, it doesn't mean that anti-natalism is false. You see? It doesn't mean that having freedom isn't good. Like, you must value freedom so much that even if it means that things are going to become bad at first because you were given freedom, you still want it. So that you will learn to be responsible. Because what we're doing when we give our power away, when we only like maybe try to do what the elites are saying we mustn't do, because that's also giving our power away. What we're doing is not trusting ourselves. Like, that comes from lack of trust. If the elites say, stop reproducing, I'll be like, why are they saying I must stop reproducing? It means that reproducing is good, so I must continue to reproduce. If the elites say, okay, euthanasia should be legal, I'll be like, why are they saying it should be legal? It should be, you know what I mean? You're not here to be controlled by the elites. I mean, you're brought here to be controlled by elites, but I mean, you shouldn't feel like you're here to be controlled by the elites. You are conscious. You actually do deserve freedom at your level of consciousness. So it's better to make rational decisions. It's better to make decisions that you're going to be proud of in the end. Like, that's important. You know, when you make a decision, you might end up being proud of that decision in the end. If we keep on reproducing like we don't know what is going on in the world, will we be proud of ourselves in the end? You are 50, you have 8 children. You didn't put them on. They have nothing because of you. Will you be proud of yourself? You see them suffering, you see them working shitty jobs, you see them in the street getting drunk. Are you going to be proud of yourself? Because you cannot just create humans without a reason, right? If I'm creating a human, I must have a reason for creating that human. And I must actually, even though I don't believe that once like a conscious being is brought into this world, we must control them, but I think our reason for creating them should be for them to enjoy this experience. So I must say, hey, I'm enjoying this experience. This is great. So I'm bringing another person to enjoy what I'm enjoying. You know, that's better than just reproducing, because we are bringing people here without their consent. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget that that is wrong, right? So if I'm going to reproduce, I should be sure that at least they have a real chance of enjoying this experience. Because you cannot guarantee that the person that you're going to bring into this place is going to enjoy that experience. Like, there's no guarantee. You never know what's going to happen, you know, because we can't see into the future. So it's not easy to get it right. So it's much more logical to not gamble with someone's life, you know. You're not going to be the one who will be suffering. I mean, yeah, you might suffer because you see them suffering, but they're the ones who are actually experiencing their suffering. So to really think that it is the right thing to do to create new life that you know that can suffer, and you might find yourself being unable to do anything to protect them from suffering. You don't know if they're not going to get sick. Find that you do have money, but there isn't treatment for what they're suffering from. So they just suffer and end up dying. That ain't beautiful. That will be happening because of the lies that we're telling ourselves. We'll be telling ourselves that this is good, even though we can see that it isn't good, it's bad, you know. There needs to be honesty. Most time when we suffer, we actually suffer because of the lies that we tell ourselves. Because these lies that we tell ourselves make us do things that cause more suffering for ourselves and others. But if we tell ourselves the real truth, then we'll be working on liberating ourselves. Right? Like that's how the process starts. It's like you tell yourself the truth. Okay, what is really going on here? Why are people brought here without their consent? Why are people suffering? Why is there no equality? Why are some people rich? Why are some people poor? Why is it not easy to find the right jobs here? Why are some people homeless? Why are some people on drugs? Why are some people leaving this place? What's really going on? And we come up with the right answers, not the answers that we want to be true, but the answers that are actually true. You see that, okay, this is what makes the most sense. Like, what's gonna happen is that we'll make the right decisions that will actually take us somewhere. Right now, we're just making ridiculous decisions that are making it harder for us to evolve, you know. We're really making ridiculous decisions that are really making it hard for us to evolve. I know there are people who think that, you know, anti-natalism is this dark philosophy. Right? It's this dark philosophy. Anti-natalists are evil. They are telling people that it is wrong to have children. Who thinks like that? I can't even believe that there are humans who think like that. But when you think deeply about it, you think the way that you think because you've been programmed to think that way, and you've been programmed to think that the way that you think is the right way to think. Right? The same way that people who are religious are programmed to think the way that they think. or people who are religious can believe that women should be bald, for an example. If they see a woman who isn't bald, they'll be like, wow, I can't believe she's not bald. I can't believe she has hair. Because that's what they've been, conditioned to think. They've been conditioned to think that a woman who has hair is bad. Let's say they say you can't hang out with guys, you can't hang out with men, and they see a woman hanging out with men. Don't feel like that is, you know what I mean? You're programmed to be you. That's something that you must realize. So of course, if you've been programmed to think that bringing people into this realm is good, if someone tells you that it isn't, even if that is really the truth, even if that's really what makes the most sense, you're gonna think, nah, that person's, like, you tell yourself anything to not believe that what they're saying is actually true. Because you're not really interested in the truth, you're really interested in survival. What has been, making it easier for you to survive in this realm? What has been making it easy for you to survive? Isn't it not the lies that you've been telling yourselves? There's nothing dark about preventing harm. There is something really sinister about feeling like it is right to subject someone to suffering because you want them to have an experience, or you need them, right? And it has a lot more to do with need than anything. It's like you need someone. You need someone that you can raise. You need someone that's gonna call you father, someone that's gonna call you mother, someone that's gonna call you grandfather, grandmother. So you're like, hey, I gotta make babies. You're lonely. Because I'm a very creative person, but as I get older, I'm like, what's really there to do? Like, you get bored. I'm a very, very creative person. I can rap, I can write. I used to drink. I don't drink anymore now. I work out. I love music. I love partying. But I haven't been to a party. I'm not gonna drink. I'm just gonna I'll just go with this. Be carrying water. I'm just gonna be like drinking water, and that's it. But as you get older, you realize that there isn't really much to do. That's why people are bored as hell. Like, if I can be bored, if someone like me who's super creative, who can do a lot of things to entertain themselves, they can be bored, how are other people doing? If you want to debate me about anti-natalism, follow me on Instagram. I'll put the link in the description, but it's Benedictine the Vegan on Instagram. Or send me an email, beeffemforever@gmail.com, or thetruthisHome@gmail.com. You'll see that all the objections you have against anti-natalism are only coming from ignorance, really. Thank you all, guys.